Hi guys, my name is Emily Banya and I am here with my mother, stroke co-founder. Your name?
And Banya.
Yes, and next to me is Douglas Banya, right?
Tukume, you're welcome.
Yes, he is my brother from the same mother and the same father. So that's great. And this is Utali Creative. We are going to be on our YouTube and also all over our social medias platforms. So just follow us at Utali Creative on any and every platform. And this is the podcast called Deeper Connection, launching the product Deeper Connection. So please get your cards. She made them. She has over 40 years of experience as an early child development specialist. So there's a lot of psychology, a lot of English going into these cards. So please get yourself a copy. Thank you.
Okay. First card, I'll ask. Do you feel like anyone really understands you and sees you for who you are, who you truly are? And the question will go to each one of us. We'll take a turn. Mom first.
Yeah, does everybody know who I truly am? What was the other part?
Do you feel like anyone really understands you and sees you for who you truly are?
Understanding, I would have a question on that. One, people view you the way they want to see you, and you've no control over what outcome that could be. What I've tried to do personally is try to be who I am, the authentic me. And usually that comes through the conversation, the time you spend with people, and the communication. Do people really know who I really am? I think that depends on the individual. But I feel my family knows who I am. My friends know who I am. And my students, I think, know who I am.
Okay. The question was, do you feel like anyone really understands you and sees you for who you truly are? Yes. Like she said, I feel like people know me, depending most times on how maybe they've interfaced with me and what aspect of my life that we share. So there's people who know me in terms of the business sense because they've always met me in environments where it's business, it's entrepreneurship, it's work. So they know that side of me. But then there's also friends who I have who actually don't know that side of me because they've not seen me in that space. Mm-hmm. And in that space, usually I'm go, and I'm networking, connecting, professional. And then in the friendship space, yes, there are friends who know me as the happy-go-lucky, carefree, adventurous, and they get to see that side of me. And yes, family does see me as well in my vulnerable aspects and parts of me that I do. I don't feel the need to like dress up, because I think as human beings, that's who we are. I don't think we are a monolith. I think there's different versions of us that we possibly put out there, depending on the environment and also the people you're dealing with. So holistically, I think there's maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 people who know me like that. Then yes, people do see those different aspects of me depending on the environment and the scenario that we're in. And you?
Do you try to help them know you, or is there, because they usually say we wear different hats. There's the mother hat, there's the friend hat, there's the sibling hat, there's the...
To answer that question, I feel like initially I used to, I think, be a people pleaser, thinking that people wanted to see me in a certain
light.
So I used to try and fit into that light. But then when I finally discovered myself, I didn't feel the need to use those camouflages. So now I'm in the space where I'm just myself, and I know that when I'm in the work mode, there is an aspect of like seriousness and, let's get this done that I'm in. Yes, there's a lightheartedness to it because, of course, you can't be too intense about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I'm with like friends, there's a certain, cheer, carefree, adventurous, let's let's laugh and let's let our hair loose. So to answer that question, I do feel like I don't need to try to let people figure it out. I think what I'm showing up as is what they're meeting now, and that's how they get to discover me. So, yeah.
So the Chinese say that we have three faces, right? The face that everyone sees, the face that only your parents, your close friends, your family, your husband and wife, whichever you are, see. And then there's one face that no one sees. So I think the question is asking that face that no one sees.
That no one sees. Yeah.
Are you understood? That was the question.
Yeah.
Did you answer that question? Are you understood?
Yeah. Because I say that I try to communicate.
Are you understood?
Yes.
How many people understand you for who you are? That face that no one sees.
Yeah.
That you hide, but some people have figured it out.
I think about 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
You asked that as like, is that a good why or
No, like a follow-up, like why? Good, bad, however you take it, why?
I think because I've recently discovered myself and no longer feel the need to people please or to show up with these different masks. So there's very few people who have had proximity to me in that period of time. So those are the people who have gotten to fully know that version of me. And there was like one friend who helped me give myself permission to let that part of that version of me out. And after she helped me through these last couple of years, I felt more confident to bring that out to the people that I feel emotional safety with to bring out.
Okay. So for me, yes, some people understand me. Some people see me for who I am. But also I keep asking myself, is it important for people to understand me? Is it?
I think we are, as human beings, we are social beings. So usually what brings conflict is misunderstanding. It could be the way you relate to people and people think you're arrogant. It could be the way you speak to people and people say you're rude. It could be the way you say it as it is, and at times the timing is wrong. In Uganda, we usually say, I'll be a Mchiga now. Let me say it as it is. But some things should be kept secret. For example, that's why we have family and that's why we have friends. There are certain things that should not go in public. But if you had misunderstanding with somebody and then you go printing everything into the media, really, I think there's that person, like you say, the Chinese have 3. There's that person who should only be known by a certain group of people in your community, in your friendship zone. You can't be telling your friends about everything. There are certain friends for certain areas, and there are certain friends who people who may not understand you. And once a word has gone out, correcting it could take you.
So I think the understanding then varies, right? Varies on the different faces, because there are people who will never understand that authentic you. They might see it, but understanding is another thing. But they will see it.
If I could ask a question, why do we have that person?
The
third one.
The third one? Because that's the person who you think you are. These other 2 are the people you think you are. The third one is the one you actually are. So the question is, do you understand that person before even other people understand them?
Yeah.
Because they might see you as a singer at church. Then the second one is that office person, or like you said, my friends see me as this happy-go-lucky person. But that person who you sit with in the mirror at home, when there's no one, not even a dog, or your husband if you're married, or your wife, that's the person. Now the question is, do you understand that person before the others? Because the other people, they see them.
The other people see?
They see. I mean, if you go out to office, like me who works, they will see. If Emily owns a business, they'll see that person. Other people will go past that face mask and say, no, I want to know the real you, the one who your parents know, your closest people. But now the last mask, do you also understand it yourself before other people understand it? So that one might not even be two people. It might not, even you might not be able to understand it.
That's true.
Yeah.
In many cases, I feel we want to keep that person quiet. Maybe because we also don't know who that person is.
Yeah.
Can I ask, would that be categorized as your inner child? At the most vulnerable part of you?
No.
Because, for example, somebody's a liar. At times you lie, and you even start lying to yourself.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, because you've been saying the lie for so many years.
An example of a lie, please. I need some context here.
So if you like fake it till you make it, right? You're faking it through, and then you actually get the success. But that person stayed before the success. So they see this person with all these cars, all this money. But when the person, them, the way they see themselves is that broke boy who was washing cars in winter in London. But yet they are now this powerful CEO with a big company, you know? Yeah. So that's a lie. And then when they sit at home after those big nice speeches of yes we can or whatever, they're just sobbing for some reason. Yeah. So if they don't move, they don't make that transition to the powerful CEO because they're still faking it within them. They still think.
So it's a wounded
I think
child.
when I look at it is the insecurities we all have. And we are told, put your best foot forward and you camouflage like a chameleon to the environment. And most of the time, we don't allow that person to grow. But they could have their preferences, which in most cases are like, shh, don't even talk about that. I mean, it could be your parents are struggling with finances at a certain time, like she talked about that.
Rolling baby bag.
Yeah. And you are like, oh, but when I was listening to this conversation, these people were talking about we don't have school fees, we don't have rent money, we don't have even money for food. And then you're bringing in that idea, oh, so the real you disappears because every time you have to camouflage so that you can fit into the environment. But one thing which I've learned about that through you, it has to grow also. And once you don't feed it, then at times you forget who it is. And at times when you come up in the mirror and you're like, who was that? It could be triggered in anger. It could be triggered in publicity stunts, and you're like, oh my God, how did I get there? And for some people, maybe if you take some drink, apart from the soft drinks, maybe the real person could appear.
Are you laughing? Are you laughing?
Yeah, so that's that person, really. Again, the question to you is, have you understood that person?
Yeah.
That inner person, that
Inner
person in
child.
the yeah, not inner child person,
No.
but there's a personality there.
Yeah.
It's not a child, but it's there. Maybe it stopped growing somewhere.
That's what we're saying.
But
That's what we're saying.
have you understood it?
Yes.
In many cases, no.
And then if you've not understood it, how do you expect other people to understand it?
That's very true. I think I've been forced to reckon with understanding my inner child, like you've been asking, because of having to face myself, wondering if, like I mentioned earlier, if since I was psychologically bullied a lot for most of my childhood, wondering if why they were bullying me was because I had something wrong with me. So for the last couple of years, I've really had to reckon with that person that you're talking about and really get to understand her and give her permission to be, because I had also pushed her down because I thought that she was not worth it, because I was like, maybe that's the reason why people don't like me, or that's the reason why I was being bullied, because they saw that real me before I even saw it myself, and they didn't like it, or they felt like there was something wrong with it and they wanted to tame it. So through that process, I had to detangle myself from all that noise and really learn who that person is within me, that authentic, real version of me. And I had to reconcile with the good, the bad, the ugly, and and now I am just so proud of her. I look at my life behind and even now, and I'm so proud of myself. And I was also having conversations with Leona, my sister, our sister, and she was making me realize, when I've been having conversations with her recently, that I am so kind to myself now. I'm so gentle with myself, and she was just complimenting me on how I speak about myself now, because before I used to berate myself so much. I used to be so negative about myself, and now I'm very gentle with myself. I'm very peaceful with myself. I'm very, like, I'm now my own advocate, which initially I thought was my dad or someone else, and then when it got ripped from me, I lost my sense of self. But now that I have a sense of self, I'm now my own advocate, and I understand that part of me that you're talking about. And I love her. She's amazing. Honestly, she's amazing.
Because something else comes up. They say that money brings out the real person.
Do you think it's addictions, though? Or just anything in excess?
No, money, if somebody...
I think also that's one of the phases.
Yeah.
So the authentic self, someone said, if you've seen that poem by a lady about her life. I walked down a road, I fell in a ditch. I walked down the same road, I fell in the same ditch. I walked down the same road, I tried to jump over that ditch. Then she ends by saying, I walked down a different road. So just in those 4 stanzas, saying her life story. So what do we choose every day? And for me, the card leads me to, I've been in the longest love relationship in my life with myself. So that mask is not something, a destination where you reach and you know it fully. It's getting to know that person every time, because most of the times you've suppressed him or her, and it's getting to know every day. So when the card asks how many people understand you, I think it's an ongoing process, because even you don't understand that version of yourself. You understand the CEO, you understand the bill payer, you understand being all the titles the world gives. But that very person, that core you, it's a lifetime love relationship with yourself to understand them.
Is that why you take yourself on dates all the time?
Jesus, yes. I am dating myself like a problem.
Like, you literally go to restaurants and just like order the best food, and he'll sit there by himself, enjoy like a 2-course, 3-course meal, and I'm just like, hey, you can call us. It's like, hey, it's my time.
So birthdays, the first day, because it's Valentine's Day, is restaurants. So since we came up with Restaurant Week here in Uganda, I follow those restaurants and I go and have a blast. Because the more you get to know that person, the more it will be easier for you to communicate your needs to your business partners, your life partner, your family. But
So it doesn't have to be food only. It could be
I think it's not the food, it's the time.
the time.
Yeah.
The
quality
activity
time.
doesn't matter,
Yeah.
it's just the time.
So me sitting down to eat a meal is just it's me giving myself time. But the activity is actually enjoying and feeling so this chef really did a good job with this one. Yeah. So it could be, but not something like bungee jumping. It has to be something you take.
I really want to do that in Ginger. And
It
they
should
said
be something meditative. You
Okay.
get where you take time. So
like
you-
skydiving.
like you're saying, the cards would help you journal. But yeah, so that long life relationship with yourself.
Speaking of cards, please, Mrs. Go next. Oh, wow. Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your self-esteem and why?
11.
So you had to break the scale.
Why? Like we said earlier, loved child throughout. Loved child throughout. So for me, when I see challenges, I see it like a math equation to find y or to find x. So the more I go through challenges, I'm actually, they're just proving how much self-esteem, maybe it's too much at this point.
If I may ask, what do you understand by self-esteem?
So self-esteem is the way I love myself and the way I see myself.
And you?
I feel like it's that, and also how much trust you have in yourself.
I look at it as how much value you value who you are. Is it the other 3 Chinese people? The one in public, the one who goes to work, or that
inner part.
that person?
Yeah.
So where does the value go? Because in most cases, the value goes to how you performance targets at work.
I think also just more I'm learning about self-esteem is to be able to say no.
Thank you.
That's how you get your self-esteem. How much no can you say? Like recently,
Boundaries.
not boundaries
Not
per se, but
boundaries.
just
Say no.
being able to say no. So like this week there was a trip someone wanted to take me on 4 districts, just her and her sister, but I just said no. I didn't want. I'd already been on the road last week to Gulu and whatnot, but and it was amazing opportunity. Just sit in the car and enjoy and have family trip or whatever. But just to be able to say no and say no, I can't do that, and without lying, just saying no, I don't want to do that. Not in a bad way, but I'd already made my commitment to church to do something. So I think in that saying no, and also not saying no out loud, but no within yourself, that I'm not going to do that.
Do you think self-esteem then looks at your value system too?
Describe what you mean by value system.
When do you say yes? When do you say no?
Oh, yeah, I think it does.
When do you say this is good for me? This is bad for me?
Yeah.
What directs you to build that self-esteem? Because the way I've understood your answers, self-esteem is how you see or how you value or how you rate yourself.
But you don't know.
You say 100, 11.
But just to interject, you can say you can have a value system and you just be a yes person. Isn't it? Like the way mom grew up in church and you're a yes person.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to bury so and so. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to do this. Let's go.
Actually, I will
So,
say this. Sorry to
remember,
cut you.
like, I'll give you an example. Remember when you were coming from Nigeria and then the tire fell off? And then you had to pack the car with all the matter of your in-laws.
Excuse me.
So, say yes now.
Yeah. But yeah, that's actually true. What I realized about us growing up is I noticed that you were a person who rarely said no to people. And I don't know if it was more of like people pleasing or it was more of like what you were saying, a self-esteem thing. But it got to a point whereby being good and also giving back and giving to church and giving your time and helping people, it almost felt toxic watching you do it, because we would, personally, I was the youngest, so I feel like I got to really be the in the next to the driver's seat, watching the action of people kind of like take you for granted or take advantage of your kindness to a point whereby they wouldn't even think, oh, what will she think if I give her this extra thing? People would just always be like, oh, she's going to do it. And unfortunately, people throw things at you to do, or they will just come to you and ask you for money. They ask you for everything. And for you, your answer was always yes. And it got to a point, like what Douglas is saying, whereby you had so much on your plate, you had so much responsibility. And for some reason, other people who love you a lot were not coming on to check in and say, hey, can I help lift that baggage? Can I support in this way? People just kept going and saying, she can handle it. She has never expressed that it's too much, so it's okay. So when you started breaking down, it was so interesting to view you in your humanity, while others did not actually think that was you because they had never seen you in that light. So I actually want to ask, why weren't you able to say no?
I think because of those two faces, I'll answer for the two faces, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one, first child, all
Syndrome.
the responsibility, and you're already a mother before you're a mother, right? And then parents go on at an early age. So, and then with self-esteem, you always have faith that if I say no to this, someone else will pick it up. But when you don't, because self-esteem is also funny, it's an experience. It's not something you just
Pick.
every day. It questions you. Life will question you. So for her, it's now I can say no and say no, I won't do that, and have the faith that someone is going to pick it up. So for her, I think that's what she's also learning as a first child, that
She's not Jesus.
It's okay to say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So-
the no's are many these days.
Yeah.
pick up the boundaries.
Because been there, done that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me pick this. Okay, this is directed to you guys. Are you happy with how your life has unfolded so far? If no, why?
I'm really happy where I am now, especially based on the former question about self-esteem. As you build more self-esteem, you become happier with who you are, and it's okay to be that third person that you talked about, the three faces. And as you pick up that person who you used to put on the back bench, life becomes very interesting. What was your question again?
Are you happy with how far life has unfolded so far? If no, why?
I'm happy.
I think it's like a very broad question. Are you happy with how things have turned out? Yeah. I think life's a journey. So we are getting there, we're getting there. And me, I would flip it over and say, would I change anything that has happened to us? No, I wouldn't change anything. So you can pray about things, you can wish them for those who wish, but you will have to get them through experience. So previous question, self-esteem, you can only raise your self-esteem by being challenged by different experiences. So
It has to be tested.
Yeah. So happy? Yes, we are very happy. In fact, Utali has told us today, drink some Utali after this.
Yes, natural water.
Natural water.
Yes, of course.
And yourself, are you happy?
Yes, To be honest, if it was last year, my answer would have been no. If it was the year before, my answer would have been no. But right now, yes, like 1,000% yes. Like what you had mentioned earlier, that discovering that person, that inner you, going through that journey to discover that version of me, and understanding the different aspects of that version of me, and also giving grace to my past self, looking back at my past, and also overcoming all that bullying and all the things that I had experienced, which I had allowed to give me an identity, and then having to go back and remove that. I love that now that I've come to peace with it, and I've come to understand that it's now in the past, and I'm going to leave it in the past, and there's no need to keep bringing it up and ruminating on it.
Like right now?
Like right now?
Yeah, but you asked me a question, I'm answering.
Like right now?
Come,
Because
guys.
it's the bullying that has made you who you are.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like now I've realized that
We
it's
are
a
happy.
beautiful thing. And I'm realizing it's what made me who I am, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
And my answer is yes now, because those parts of my story
But the
make it
question
interesting.
was, if no,
No, I said last year no, the year before no, but this year yes, 1,000%.
I feel like
yes.
we should call those people and give them a percentage of all your souls.
No.
the bullies.
Since we're going through it over and over again, we should even find teacher unnamed. Otherwise, my goodness, have we had that story?
Really?
We have had that story. In fact, it's
We
like
have
on
healed.
replay.
We have healed now.
We are going to save it and use it as call,
Ammunition.
voice call, whatever's.
Yeah.
When we call your phone.
But
When
that's
I was young and I was good.
yeah, but isn't that the name of the game? Deeper connection. So
Deeper
I'm
connection.
trying to go back to show you where the
Illuminating.
connection is, and then
Where you'll be.
He said what
Get out.
triggers him. It's
so it's
people
really
going back.
triggers.
So who is there?
Emily? Yeah.
I actually did go, but
Okay.
I think it's you now. No,
Mom picked. When was the last time you cried and what triggered this? Oh, I saw a flower. No. Yes.
Right.
Oh please, it's really that way.
When was the time mom cried?
Yeah. So she rarely cried when we were growing up, but in the last couple of years, I started
was
seeing
told-
some waterworks, which shocked me because I was like, I thought this woman doesn't cry. What's going on with her eyes? Like there's a time I thought like water had poured on your face. I was very shocked.
What was it about?
A car,
What happened to the car?
Brian.
Crushed it.
No. You were going to Tiana.
Ah.
Yeah.
No, I was going to Masaka.
Yeah. So that.
Ah.
So all the drama that happened around that, I was so shocked. I was like, is that what? Her eyes are red? I thought like you had scratched your eye. And then I saw water and I was like, oh, she's
How come I
crying.
don't cry?
Oh, please. Please.
In years.
No, there's no
So
way.
many years.
There's no
Ooh. I had some worship last time I cried. Yeah. Worship
Give us the
songs.
other one.
the real one.
When somebody says no.
So again, like I said with the puzzle, when I find rejection, something in me is like, oh my gosh, I need to vibe this thing so much more. You need to like now put in effort.
Oh my God.
So I need to win them over. Before I just showed up, now I'm actually going to prepare for it. So crying, no, I've not cried in such a long time.
Really?
Unless worship,
And you?
music.
Me.
And like proper crying.
What triggers this one? Because you don't have to cry to show you're worshipping.
Crying?
Mm.
No, just
What is the
a
inner-
nice song.
What is that third person thinking about?
Oh, how much I'm loved. How much I am loved.
Actually, the question was first and you didn't give us an answer.
Hey, when you're making those hints, it was a trigger. I had this appointment in Masaka. I had prepared, I think 2 weeks before. I had paid. And I was told somebody was coming in the next. I had paid 3 days before, and I was told the driver was coming. 30 minutes kept on being 30 minutes, another 30 minutes kept on being 30 minutes. And I think one thing which really triggers me is when I can't keep my word. Those people were waiting for me in Masaka at 11. A whole set of people were waiting. And there I was, so stuck. It's coming to 11. I had woke up so early in the morning. And the way I had planned, I knew. And I was like, God, how could I let myself down like this again?
And who you gonna call? Of course, that's that. Again, ruminating, going on.
The last time I cried.
Also, it's crying to soothing for people because
Yeah, it is.
sorry, this gender doesn't understand.
Hey.
Don't understand.
Really?
Some emotions at times have to come out. That's why you find people snapping at very small things, and the mother hits the kid on the floor or something like that, and you're like, why is all this anger? It's all pent up. So at times
Like
crying
Dad's
helps.
story. Like Dad's story when he was 5. That you talk about. Apparently, you say that he was like he did this the stove, the charcoal stove, and then he put the food on.
It was firewood.
Firewood, yes. And then he was also taking care of his siblings, and the dad was a reverend, so he was out of town. And then the mom had gone into the farm, right? She was also pregnant. And then she came back, and Dad was with one of his younger siblings. I think
One of them.
feeding them, and then he had forgotten the
No,
food
he
on
had
the
put the food on the firewood.
on the fire.
But he had not put in water.
Oh, so it burned.
So the fire was burning very well, but the food was not getting ready
Okay.
because there was no water.
Yeah. So when Kaka came, what did she do?
She was, I think she checked on the food and there was no water. And she didn't remember anything else this one had done right.
Just
It was their story for a long, long, long time because Kaka felt so.
What did he do? Like, that's what I want to know. What did he do?
Kaka beat him up because he had not done it right.
Oh, okay.
And I think she had trained him to do it the right way.
Clearly, multitasking was the problem.
Yeah, but it was like a vicious beating. Right?
Yeah, it was a very bad beating. But she felt so bad after.
Because she thought she had killed
She
him.
thought she had killed him.
Because he was too quiet.
He was too quiet. He was in shock.
But actually, that's the same thing you said that you did with Leona. Like Leon and Brian, when they were young, and then you found blood in his carriage, and then you found Leona next to the bed, and you thought over the baby had died or something.
Yeah, the baby was crying. And I remember that time we lived in Nairobi, and I went to the bathroom to shower. Then I come back. This baby has been crying, but I've been hearing it and knowing. We had just come out of hospital, I think about 3 weeks. And there was this toddler. And I think she had this sibling rivalry all along because I was giving too much attention to this
Little new baby.
So she had scratched his eyes. So every time he kept crying, she was scratching him. So when I come in, I think she was around 2. When I come in, the only thing I saw was blood in the
eyes.
No, in the bed sheet. You know, like the baby was crying, and I think it kept.
Putting the face down.
Yeah, and the tears. So I didn't know what had happened, and the only person in that room
was Leona.
So I.
No, you didn't. You walked her across the room.
And then when I uncover,
She was blessed.
when I uncover, I start cleaning up the tears, and there were tiny scratches.
Yeah.
But because I think the baby was only 3 weeks, that's why it was bleeding. And I've hid the other one, I think, under the table. I'm like, oh my God, I've killed my child. And she was quiet. So
staring at you like, what?
and then I go and pick that one. So I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So it's the mother crying and the two are crying. I don't know what to do. I'm alone in the house. And I'm like, oh my God. So now I learned every time I'll go to shower, I'll take the baby with me and put it somewhere there.
That
At
you
least
can
it's
see.
crying. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting.
But at least she kept the baby quiet.
Did the baby stop crying? It was crying. But every time it would cry, I think she would scratch inside the mouth, she'd scratch the eyes, and
She
maybe
was
trying to keep it quiet. I don't know. And I found her there. She was standing over the crib.
Interesting.
Togetherness.
Into what?
Togetherness.
Togetherness. Okay. I will ask this question. How often do you receive and hear words of encouragement?
Personally, many times. The children have been that safety net for me, which has helped a lot. Being a firstborn, I think at the beginning, it was me to encourage others most of the time. But especially my 7 years, illuminating my
And counting.
siblings, my friends.
We're now to 8.
Actually, I want to ask you a question. You've just said that because you're the firstborn, you felt like you were someone who always had to be the support system for people. You always had to be the person who's there for people. How often did people reciprocate that encouragement and that support to you growing up, then before the 7 years and versus now? Or are you in a space where you actually have to reintroduce yourself to people because now you're the version of you that can say no?
Where do I start with that one? Growing up, I had a grandmother who was very, very loving to me. So the only thing I knew was to receive. And I was spoiled to bits. This was until 7 years. My parents had gone abroad to study. And when they came back to this very spoiled child.
Rotten spoiled.
Rotten spoiled. I was...
Sorry, you said they used to carry you in the back.
I had a bod of a human being, so spoiled.
Yeah.
And then my parents come in and they want to put structures and systems in place. It was hard. I now understand that train up a child.
The way they should.
That's the way it should be. Because trying to keep me in line was like breaking my back. And I resisted because one, I didn't grow up with my jaja knowing the word no. Everything was a yes. So that I carried on to other people. When I was in charge and I could care for anybody else, it was yes, 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 because that's what I knew.
So, Mumbeja treatment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think, again, we go back to this being full circle. That taught you where you are today. So we can't say, because if we change it now, you wouldn't be who you are today.
No.
So I think we also look at it with positive eyesight.
So now do you get those words of encouragement outside of your children, or are you going to have to introduce to people so that they
I
can
think
realize?
What I've done of late is taking a lot of time, the me time he was talking about. I've taken this time just to go back and say, do I really need to do this?
Okay.
Building my self-esteem. Maybe like you said, being too kind and giving. I was lucky I had the money to give. I was lucky.
You give a lot of it.
I've always been generous because that's how I grew up. But now I've learned to allow people to figure it out. And I've also learned to look after that third person you're talking about. Does she really want to do this, or does she really want to go into that expense? So that has helped with my self-esteem.
Yeah, the no's are many these days. I cannot.
The no's are many. And they start with you. No.
I think it worked out. It worked out. I think when we're younger, you look at, like, and you mentioned, oh, toxic giving and what. But all that makes you who you are.
Yeah.
Once you grow up and say, oh, actually, if I didn't do that, because there's also times and seasons throughout life. And if she didn't do that, imagine now. I mean, imagine now you're giving, okay? And you wouldn't be giving from your bank account, you'd be giving from mine. So thank you for starting there. But at least now you are that.
The only part I didn't like, the children always say, because I was too generous, it makes you mean people. You
What
don't
do you
want
mean
to.
mean? No,
You say you don't want
we
to
did
part
not say
with
it
your
makes us
cash.
mean. I said it makes us very, very intentional about our giving. Like, we're not just about to just say, like, for example, I can give you is when we were young, you liked to go into churches and then be a part of the church and build it and raise money for it and, make it your baby and all that. And one thing you did that I can remember was there's a time you were supporting a church, and like, I think you were one of like 3 of the congregation who had a car. And so everyone would like jump next to you when the service was about to end, which was really long. And then they'll all start asking for lifts. And then you just say yes to everyone. And then for me, I'll be squeezed in the back. Now, the lifts you give, it wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to drop this person to like somewhere. Then they'll figure out how to get to the place. The person will be like, no, like drop me to my gate. So we'd literally spend about 4 hours after church just to drop people to their gates in their homes and their localities. Like, you're in Kampala, for example, and you're driving to like beyond Chira, like, and you're going into some place and you're dropping the person there. And then me in the back, there's sometimes when I would be in the car and those people are backbiting you in Luganda. And what they think I didn't understand. So I'm hearing them talk very, very horrible things about you, who's giving them a lift in the back.
How do you flip that now to be positive? Because like we said, ruminating.
No, I don't think we should just like to go forward. Sometimes you have to look back. That's why they write history books, If we're just going to focus on the future, then
not the future,
then we wouldn't have the history subject.
Turn that to be a positive thing, because I think we've been over that. Like, remember how Fiona was saying before, we've had the story.
Yeah,
they
but I
the books.
think
So how do we turn that now? She used to give out lifts. Yay.
Yeah, I was giving an example. I was giving an example of how the toxic giving was, and then the next week that person will come back, ask for a lift, and she'll say yes.
Because I didn't hear her talk about me.
Sometimes I would tell you and you're like, no, it's okay. And then you would like forget about it. But yeah, I do know that there's a sense of like, how do we flip it? But like I said, like, we have to look back sometimes to go forward. What I see about it that's different is now there's an intentionality with us, your children, whereby we realize you can say no. You also have to be smart about your giving. You're not Jesus. Jesus died for the sins. You didn't die for the sins. So it doesn't, and I feel like there's also an aspect of self-righteousness if you think that you're the only vessel that God is going to use to bless people. And you also have to realize that if you overextend yourself, then you become resentful of doing that. You're hurting your future self. So I think what you are asking is, it's not making us horrible people. It's making us intentional, because I want to give consistently. I don't want to just expend myself in this season and then I become resentful in the next season where I don't want to, which I felt right now happened to you.
Are you good at unconditional giving?
Right now I'm working on it.
Bringing pistols tonight.
No, I feel like I'm working on it right now, because it's been a learning curve, like what you said. It's been a transformation. Noticing that has taken a while. Getting to the point, like you said, to make it a positive thing has also taken a while. Now putting it into action as well is also going to be a journey. You get what I'm saying? So I think I am at the beginning stages of that. I have been before, but it was conditional. Now it's more unconditional.
I think for me, Now you see it as that. Me, I see it as mom getting stuck when she was on her trip with a ship, and then a random person is helping her from the lake, the seaside, an hour into town in England. I see dad's friends helping me with some government jobs, right? So you, as you see it as this, that scenario, that's what plays for you. Me, I see all the blessings. So me, that's where I see it from. Because she was stuck. They've let her off the ship. It's not working. I mean, her siblings are there, but are they there?
No.
So how do you walk from
Portugal?
No, I wasn't
from the port.
I was at the port.
You know, like Gaba?
And it was about
midnight?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So how do you get from that port? No taxis, nothing.
No.
To town.
And the lady who helped me was an immigration officer who had just seen me, I think 3 minutes before I got to the ship.
So.
And she said, "Don't worry, I'll give you a lift to town." She didn't know me. She had never seen me. And we had just come in. I was just boarding the ship, going for a cruise.
Yeah.
So, and how far was Uncle Dave? 2 hours? Drive?
4.
Yeah. You see?
I was in Southampton.
Yeah. So that's how I see those moments. And yes, the baggage is there. But I think flipping it and seeing it as a blessing, that's why I'm blessed. Like I said,
and I agree with
only
you.
child.
I agree with you.
Really.
I actually agree with you. I do see it as flipping it aside because, as well, for myself, I think you know my story about Cape Town. When I moved to Cape Town and I was living there with very little family, I had people like my mentor at the time. His name was Stephen Harris. Rest in peace. And he met me at one of his events, and he just looked at me and said, "Hey, come for coffee next time." The next week I came for coffee. After 3 weeks,
uncomfortable
come
ride.
for coffee. And I came. And then there's a time he saw me distraught. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to read and prepare for my exams. And if I fail these exams, I will fail the course. Then redo the whole year." But the students going to town, there were students coming in with fire extinguishers, and then they set them off if they find you with books reading. So whether you went to the public library, whether you were in the residence, whether there was just havoc and commotion, they would not let you rest. And so the students who are striking were saying, "You have to join us in this fight to do the fees must fall strikes. And if you don't, like, we're going to make it hard for you to pass." So I was literally distraught because I was like, I don't have a computer. I don't have the softwares that I need to use to do my coursework. And he just looked at me and he was just like, "Why didn't you tell me? Come. Then we went upstairs. He got his PA and his receptionist to open up his office because he had a co-working space. He gave me the biggest office in the room. And he told his secretary, give her everything she needs. And for 2 months, I had an office to do my coursework, and he's the reason I passed.
Thank you.
So I do say that, yes,
was
it's
the
true.
drive to serendipity. That's what you are.
No, I don't
You're
think
welcome.
so.
You're welcome.
I don't think so, because now it will become, I feel like when you say that, it becomes like a kind of thing that's transactional. It's like, oh, if I do this good deed, then this good deed will happen to me in the future.
Not per se, but me, I look at it simply as, I'm not going to stop being nice just because something bad could happen. Like I said, with self-esteem, you always have faith that this will work out. So once you do good, yes, I might not be expecting it, but I'm also going to be like, there's my new this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not transactional per se, but it's always looking at life with just... You've heard of that story where the neighbor was talking to her husband saying, "That woman, she's so horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Look at her clothes. How does she take care of her family like that?"
Mm-hmm.
Monday, Tuesday, she wakes up and the clothes are brown. Then she woke up one day and the clothes was sparkling. She was like, "What did that woman do?" husband said I just cleaned our windows.
Oh,
It was the lens that she was
this is
using.
amazing. Yeah. So should I go next?
Is that it? How much more time do you have to do?
Maybe we can do like 3 more. But this one is interesting. Okay, this is. I guess this will be my final question to you guys today. What comes to mind when you think about victim mentality?
By personality, by person, by people, by names. How do we give examples? How do we
I've been
victimize?
accused of that so many times.
But again, I think victim mentality also, we at least at home we're defining it from one personality, this person, this person. But I think like that, when we focus on I was in this car and this happened, that's also a kind of victim mentality, you know? So
Why was she hearing information she was not supposed to be hearing? You're not supposed to know Uganda, maybe.
at your age, how dare you?
Gaslighting me, guys. Don't gaslight
But
me.
yeah, I think victim mentality, we at home we always talk this person, that person. We won't mention names, know them. But
We know ourselves.
yes, but I think we should now define it going forward from just looking back at the things we've gone through as chip on my shoulder and God or the world deserves to pay me for this. So for me, that's how I define it. Because me right now, my philosophy has always been, this is happening for me, not to me. That's what I tell my siblings. That's what I tell everyone. Mom gets annoyed at me every time she reacts, and I'm like, "It's well." She's like, "No, that's what you were saying." Like, we got this. It's well. It's well.
Yeah.
You know. So, because if you react, now like in leadership, you are an owner of a business. If you react, now the manager is going to be like, if the owner of the business is also scared, what's going to happen? But it's just saying it's going to work out, you know. So that's with taxes in the business. Sometimes they give us interesting bills, and you're like, but not reacting. So victim mentality, to me personally, I would define it as always looking like the world owes you because of what happened in the past or even in the present, just like yesterday. Oh, this person did this to me. And so that's for me victim mentality. Yeah.
And you?
The question again?
You said you've been accused of it, so I want to know what you want to say, what you have to say. What comes to mind when you think about the victim mentality?
Why me? Why me? Why me? Like that day you were talking about the car. I paid the driver. I paid for the car hire.
For the fuel,
I paid for the fuel. Why me?
why not drive there? You have a car.
I didn't want to drive there because I thought it was cheaper and more comfortable. And the meeting I was going in was a bit crucial. So I wanted to go in and go out. But when you prepared everything, and that has happened many times at my age, where you've done your part, you've put in your best, you've put your best foot forward, and there comes an Emily. Mommy, I didn't pay, I think, for the rent, and they're chasing me out. And you're like, she's overseas. You look very unserious as a person.
Are
The
you
mother.
calling me out? Or
The mother. But this is something you can't control. According to all the budgets that you had done, things were supposed to be done in a certain way. And then you are like, why me? She just had to pay her rent or something, because there were those letters coming to and fro. And of course, in South Africa, the way they hire accommodation is not like how it is here. It goes, I think,
3 months
extra.
in advance.
And even if you booked and you didn't use it, you have to pay for it. So the victim mentality comes in. Why me? So the question goes,
What comes to mind when you think about the victim mentality?
why have I done my part and everybody's not doing their part? Why me?
Why not you? And you?
Victim mentality, I think, like what you said, why me, and also what you said, which is the lenses in which you look like at life at. I look back at my life and I realized I was in the victim mentality a lot, because also it's fun to play to be in that state of mind, because all of a sudden, like, it's everyone else is the problem but you. So you can look on the
blame
outside.
game.
Yeah, the blame game. Like, you can dish out as much blame as you want, and the blame doesn't fall on you because now you're the victim. Woe is me. Things have happened to you and they're not for you. And now you can, shoot daggers at everyone because they're the ones who need to change and not you. So what I will say about what comes to mind is realizing, like, when you finally go from reacting to reality, and then you shift to responding to reality. And it also plays into when you really look at the word responsibility, then you break it down. Like, you realize, like, when you break down the word, it's ability. So the ability to respond. So victim mentality, what I realize is, to cure it, you have to take on responsibility.
Yeah.
And the responsibility actually begins, like, with yourself. You have to realize, if, one or two people are being blamed in the situation, maybe if I turn the finger back and start looking at myself, maybe I'll find that if I fix this, then these problems will also disappear.
But in my scenarios, I've done my part. I've done my responsibility.
Okay.
I think, again, we'll go back to what I said, the two questions before.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, if that happens to me, like, I was going to Gulu and the tire became itself. And the person I was in the car was like, oh my gosh. And it's like, dude, number one, you're a guy. Please. But I was just like, no, it's okay. This just makes the story I'm going to tell when I go back to my family.
Do you know how unserious it looks like when you are telling somebody you're going to Gulu and you don't know about how the tire is going to...
It's an adventure. I agree.
So now that's how you take it.
I'll expect a responsible person like you to know that if I'm taking that trip, my tires should be in check.
All my tires were checked. I'd even changed the oil. But you see? So now that would kill the 4 days you're there. So for me, I'm like, no. I'll take it on the chin. I'll learn. Oh, okay. And so instead of a spare, I need to buy now an extra tire for the car. So that's what I'm going to do. Instead of buying just the one tire, the spare will be taken out and there'll be another tire in the car. So things like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if victim mentality, you're going now, the 4 days are going to be wasted. They're just going to be thinking about that one thing. And how long was the stay on the side of the road? 45 minutes.
And actually, when I look at the victim mentality, it takes away so much from you and it never gives you back anything.
Scientifically proven.
Yeah.
Once you get annoyed, it takes your body 3 days to get back. Chemically.
To positivity.
Interesting. So think that 10 seconds you're wasting on being sad or whatever, your body takes how many times? Because it takes more muscles to frown than to smile.
Okay, smile, no?
And that's a wrap.
Okay, guys, this has been our podcast called Deeper Connection. Our host here, Banya, is introducing us to her new card game called Deeper Connection as well. So thank you for tuning in, and please subscribe, like, comment, share, just everything. And go to our website, please, and buy these cards. Like yesterday, buy them for your mother, for your auntie, for your jaja, for your ancestors, for everyone. Cheers.